Hello, thank you very much for taking the time out to watch this video, and especially to the Change School for making us part of this great initiative, the TCK, or the Third Cultural Kid. I'm particularly excited about the topic today, which is about leading with a global mindset, something I'm very passionate about, and something, quite frankly, I think all society needs to think more about. My name is Arnold. I'm the global CEO of a business called MullenLowe Profero. I was also the chairman of the Marketing Society here in tropical Singapore. I've divided the next sort of 9-10 minutes or so over two things really. One, about my view of being a sort of a global citizen, and two, about this global mindset, how you can lead with it, and maybe some thoughts that hopefully are worth sharing. So I hope you find them valuable. In many ways, if you like, I should probably be the last person on planet Earth actually talking about being a TCK. My background is far from that. I was born to two very white English parents. My family tree is far from exotic. I think you have to go back almost 4 or 5 generations before you even find a Northern European in there. I was born in the cultural, dare I say, desert. That was Bournemouth, or sunny Bournemouth in the UK. No disrespect to everyone living in Bournemouth. I can't speak any foreign languages. Most people say, actually, I don't even speak English particularly well. So I guess I was destined to be a fish and chip eating, cup of tea drinking, football loving Brit. But somewhere along the way, it went terribly right. And I ended up being, I hope, a very globally curious person. For me, that tipping point was back to my very thankful, if you like, very thankful I have for them, of my two English parents. My first memory of life was actually of a flight from London to Singapore, ironically, age 4. And I think that one first memory changed my mindset forever. I remember distinctly that the entertainment on that flight was actually a shadow puppet show. 2 puppeteers physically went up and down the aisle with a guy on the bongo drums, which is probably very annoying if you're trying to sleep on the plane. But when you're 4 years old, you thought it was absolutely awesome. And I guess that one cultural experience started a lifelong journey of curiosity to become more globally curious and more aware of the global nuances around the world, and which I completely love. If you fast forward now, I guess, a few more years, I've lived in Hong Kong, I've lived in London, I've lived in New York, I've lived in Kuala Lumpur, I've lived in Bangkok, and now where I live here in Singapore. When asked the question where I'm from, if I be honest with you, I don't really know. And I'm kind of cool with that. When asked the question where I'm going to live next, I don't know that even less, and I'm even cooler with that. Yes, I have a British passport, so I guess legally I'm British, but mentally I don't think I am anymore. I think I'm more of a citizen of the sky, a global nomad who has the privilege to eat, drink and chat in different countries and different locations around the world. Last week it was Hong Kong, next week I think it's Sydney, hopefully the week after that will be somewhere on the beach, and then back over to LA and New York. So I've kind of become a global citizen by part design, but also mainly by accident, and mainly thanks to my parents and that first ever plane journey, age 4. The reason why I think this conversation is so important is that I think as society and individuals, we need to become more globally aware. There's been some pretty major, let's say, sort of shocking events that are happening right now. You take, for example, what happened with Brexit. You see what's happening in the US with Trump, relationships in the US and USSR, just need I go on. But I think a lot of these events, whether they're right or wrong, is for everyone else to decide. But I think the understanding of why these decisions are being made or why people are getting these kind of views is mainly because of the lack of global curiosity that we have. And if anything, as society, even though the world's coming flatter, it feels like we're going more backwards in terms of our global understanding of different cultures and different nationalities. For me, the more globally curious we are, the more likely we are to get on. The more likely to get on, the more likely to solve problems, and the world, quite frankly, will be a better place. And by default, if you're interested in business or you want to do well in the world, or you want to cross borders, then I guess basically being more globally curious will help that too. I do find it bizarre when you look at CVs. We seem to take more credence of the place you worked or the degree you have, and there's no real index for global curiosity or how globally wise you are. I think it's probably the most undervalued skill that every single person can possibly have. So I've been asked to share some thoughts on this idea of leading with a global mindset and what the benefits are. And I want to distill this into really sort of 3 very simple thoughts. The first thing I realized very quickly on was that you actually need to understand you know nothing. We all come, I think, to basically certain cultures or markets with a certain kind of stereotype. The more we understand day one that we know nothing about that market, the more open-minded we're going to be, and basically the more likely we are going to be to actually understand that market better. So we need to invest in ourselves. Yes, you can read books like When Cultures Collide by Richard Lewis. Maybe not the most exciting book in the world, but there's some real odd gems in there. But more importantly, I think the more uncomfortable we can get ourselves with a culture, whether it's visiting somewhere on holiday or for work, and the more open-minded we are about it, the more we're likely to learn and the quicker we'll learn. And so I believe the more valuable will ultimately become. So one, know that you actually know nothing, and be as open-minded as possible. Two, and this is crucially important, is you need to join a company or organization or society where their values are aligned to your values. What do I mean by that? Well, when most people I talk to who are unhappy with where they currently work or what they currently do, it's not normally because of salary, it's not normally because of the work, it's normally because deep inside they think their personal values are different to that of the business itself. The closer they can be aligned, the better. Now, personally, I had a kind of easy on this one because I was part of the team that created the business. But interestingly, our ambition was to create one of the most globally curious companies in the world. So our number one core value, if anyone wanted to join our business, you had to be globally curious. Now, it doesn't mean that you've trekked with tribes in the Amazon, but it means that you're interested where a Shendu is, for example. You're interested when you go on holiday, not to go to Florida, but maybe go to Turkey. So by getting your own personal values aligned with the company values, especially if one of those values is about global curiosity, is more likely to make you happier and more successful in the work that you're doing. Thirdly, and maybe it's a bit more of a personal one, is plan a bit, but to be open more. Normally when you speak to most people who have become these sort of global citizens, normally opportunities have just spontaneously arrived, and not normally when you plan, because normally planning things doesn't normally perfectly work out. For myself, for example, I was planning to move to New York to work in the New York office, and ironically, 2 weeks before I actually left London, I met my future wife-to-be. Obviously, I didn't know at the time, but timing could not be more worse. As it happened, she then moved to New York, and we had 5 amazing years in New York. Likewise, when we was looking for someone to run the Singapore office, I spent 6 months trying to find that person, and then really at one Christmas Eve, I realized that actually I was kind of passing the problem on, and this was a problem I needed to solve myself. And so within 2-3 weeks, we were packing a bag and heading over to his Singapore. I'm not saying you need to be Robert De Niro in Heat, or in the film Heat, and where I think he says he can walk out of any current situation in 30 seconds. But I think it's sometimes we hesitate. And I think when people miss opportunities, they think too hard about things. The best experiences normally come out of their field or from a conversation they've had. So if you've done points 1 and 2 well, then you'll be ready to make the opportunities as they turn up. So 3, plan a bit, but be a bit more open. So, in summary, I think global citizens and understanding how to be a globally curious is a crucial part of modern society. And the best things to think about are, know that you actually know nothing to start with, so be open. 2, you need to create and make sure the company and your personal values align. You'll get more reward from that. And 3, plan a bit, but be open a lot more. Thank you very much.